I moseyed on over to Yandy's Instagram page to go get a sip of that Yandy. And when I was over there, I saw her holding up a sign. It was her and the little girl in the selfies. They're holding up signs, and I'm like, what do these signs say? Like, what's really going on? And why is Yandy's avatar picture a red circle, like a period, like a red dot, looking like the Japanese flag? I wonder what the hell is this about? And I clicked on it, and it said, hashtag I strike for, hashtag I strike for justice, hashtag day without a woman, hashtag women's march. And I put it together. I said, well, why does she have this red square or whatever as a picture up there on her Instagram? I said, well, what the hell is that about? And it said, hashtag I strike for, hashtag I strike for justice, hashtag a day without a woman, hashtag women's march. Now, I had no idea what the hell this was about. I see the color red, like a woman's period. I see I strike for justice, a day without a woman, and women's march. I'm like, what is this mess, right? So I went and I looked it up. And I'm glad that I visited Yandy's Instagram page. I stopped being thirsty to go find out what the hell this is about. So theguardian.com posted an article titled, now for the record, it was posted on March 8th of 2017 at 7:03 Eastern. So I guess that was 7:03 a.m. And it says, strike for women's rights, sexual, racial, and economic justice are at stake. Yamata Taylor. Let me see. The call for a day of action in support of a radical agenda that recognizes all women has resonated with thousands let down by mainstream feminism. Now, before I read this article to you, let me just say this. It's going to be a long video, so prepare for it. If you really care about what I have to say about this and me reading the article and everything, then stay for it. If not, fuck yourself. Anyway, so the article reads, mainstream feminism has failed. Perhaps the most shocking example is the life expectancy of black trans women. 35 years. Pause the story right there. Transsexuals are not women. Okay? Just because you put a wig on and say you're a woman doesn't make you a woman. I always knew I was a computer, okay? Anyways, the brutality of that statistic was on display again when 2 black trans women in New Orleans were killed within a matter of days last February. Woo, pause the story right there. 2 black trans women. Well, how many straight black men were killed in that same time frame? Also, why are these transsexuals dying at such a young age? Is it their lifestyle possibly? Could it be because of sexually transmitted diseases? See, as of right now, I'm reading into the article and I automatically noticed something really weird here. They're talking about the life expectancy of transsexuals without telling us how they're dying. They just mentioned 2 of them that were killed, so they're basically, this article is misleading. What they're trying to lead you to believe as of right now is that the reason why black trannies are living to be 35 years old, rather 35 years young, because that's very young to pass away, is simply because they're transsexual and they're being killed. That's what this article is trying to make you believe. This is propaganda at its finest. The brutality of that statistic was on display again when 2 black trans women in New Orleans were killed within a matter of days last February. Since the new year, there are reports that 7 transgender women across the U.S. have been killed. Once again, how many straight men were killed during that time period? And this just happens to go to show you something. Not only should they be classified as men, could you imagine what the statistics for men being killed would be if they included these men that they're separating based off of what somebody wishes they were born as? I really wish I was born rich. So yeah, trans ritual people are coming. So I'm gonna need me some shmoney because, with me being trans ritual, I always felt rich in the inside. Since the new year, there are reports that 7 transgender women across the U.S. have been killed. The reality of poverty, violence, and discrimination in the lives of trans women of color is just one reason why organizers of today's women's strike have mobilized to revert the innocuous, quote, Women's Month back to its radical predecessor known as International Women's Day. For the record, transsexuals are genital mutilators. So we're talking about somebody who felt so strongly about being born as something that they weren't born as, because their biology tells us what they really are. They have an Adam's apple. They can't give birth. They don't menstruate. I mean, they're not a woman. That's just the way. That's just reality. And there is no defending that, unless you're just a flat out liar. If you could lie about that, you lie about anything else. It's just reality. It's not anti-transsexual that I'm saying this. I don't have any problem with transsexual people, other than the fact that you're lying to me. I just don't want to be lied to, and I'm going to treat you like anybody else is lying to me, and I'm going to treat you like anybody else who's abusing themselves. I'm going to say you need to get serious help. The board of psychiatry and all these other people need to stop lying to you. It's not normal to cut your fucking genitals off. It's just not normal. Anyways, the massive outpouring of women and men on the streets on January 21st was a powerful rejoinder to the violent sexism and bigotry of Donald Trump. Yeah, I can't stand that bastard. That's one thing I agree with in this article so far. Dump Trump. More importantly, it demonstrated that millions were moving on from the shock and despair of Trump's ascendance. It was a critical moment in the opening hours of Trump's presidency, but there was also much to build on. The organizers have been reluctant to declare the Women's March as, quote, protests against an authoritarian regime, thereby lowering the bar in ways that would guarantee the participation of the maximum number of people. It was a wildly successful strategy, but if we are to build an opposition or resistance movement that is not just large but can also fight for the kind of world we want to live in, then we have to clearly fight for what it is we want. The organizers of the Women's March have called for a day without a woman, and we have called for a woman's strike. This is what it's all about. A day without a woman, and we have called for a woman's strike. These actions are different in their organization and platform, but we are united in the need for ongoing struggle and political action. The call for the U.S. to join the International Women's Strike is an articulation for the kind of feminist politics that could provide a way to fight for a political agenda that represents the interests of the vast majority of working class and poor women in this country and abroad. We have termed it, quote, feminism for the 99%. Oh, so was the other feminism for the 1%? Oh my God, this is so stupid. There have been some who have suggested that in calling for women to, quote, strike, we are jeopardizing those who do not have the, quote, luxury to call off work. Hell yeah, there's some people who really can't afford to do that, and you're supposed to be part of the 99%. Smell the propaganda. Indeed, organizers of the women's strike have even been described as privileged. This is as ridiculous as it is condescending to both the organizers and working class women who apparently are not viewed as capable of making decisions about their own activity on 8 March. Aside from ensuring there are multiple ways for women and their supporters to participate in the strike, including taking part in actions at work such as wearing red, a gesture of solidarity, we have been inspired by the genuine grassroots nature that is animating cities, colleges, and communities across the country. The call for a strike, and more generally a more radical International Women's Day, has resonated with thousands across the U.S. in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and Alexander, Virginia. Crappy South. I added that part. The schools districts have decided to close schools today because of the number of requests for the day off. The, quote, bodega strike that brought out thousands of Yemeni shop owners and their supporters to oppose Trump's Muslim travel ban has also endorsed the action. Teachers in Chicago have joined with community members and organizers for a rally, quote, to fight for the global economic justice we've always needed. In Seattle, the focus is on reproductive justice, and in New York City, there will be a rally in Washington Square Park and then a march to Zuccotti Park, where the Occupy Wall Street movement erupted in 2011. In total, there are more than 60 events planned as part of today's strike. First of all, you know that whoever organized this and whoever paid for it definitely has some paper behind them. 60 events planned. Listen, this is Pay attention to this. And remember, the article started out talking about transgender, transsexuals, whatever, and saying that they're women, lumping them in with women. We have no idea how many people will participate. I don't expect the same number who came out on the 21st of January to take part, but I do suspect thousands will be involved, and this is significant. The point was never to just hold a successful event, but to begin to knit together a network of ordinary people who can revive the struggles for racial and economic justice, sexual liberation, and reproductive freedom that have always been at the nexus of the struggle for women's liberation. There you go. It's about the slut walk type shit and abortion. Racial and economic justice as well, allegedly. We have a world to win. A world to win. So are they waging war? We have a world to win, and the women's strike is an important step in that process. Thank you very much to The Guardian for this stupid article. So that's what this crap is about. What is the focus again? It seems to be about a lot of different things. Let me tell you something. One of the things that was so interesting about it was sexual liberation. Let's see. Women have sex with hundreds of men in pornographic films. There's no laws against an adult woman screwing as many people she wants. Abortion is legal. And if I'm not mistaken, in every state in America, as of right now, some may have more restrictive laws than others because it's based on the state. But abortion is legal. You can be as big of a whore as you want. You know, what is really the issue? Like, I would love to interview somebody like this to get more clarity on this topic, because it's very vague and very dumb. It sounds as if they're just getting women together to yell, scream, and complain and hold signs about nothing. I mean, look at the rate that women die compared to the rate that the rate that men die at. So few women are dying that they have to lump trannies up in there with women to increase the numbers, even though those are men. But they're like, well, I identify as a woman. I identify as a rich person. Okay? The point is this, man. Man, us trans rituals, listen, hashtag trans ritual. I'm about to start using that shit. I'll make a video about it too. The point is this though, man. Women aren't dying like that. Not from like being killed. Absolutely not. And the fact that they started off the article talking about some trannies in New Orleans. Do you know how many damn people get killed in New Orleans? New Orleans, Louisiana is a fucking damn, living there is like a damn death sentence. It's freaking New Orleans, guys. That's like saying, it's like a handful of places that are like that's like saying Chicago. A couple trannies got killed in Chicago. Well, it's fucking Chicago. You know how many people get popped in Chicago? You can say that about a couple Chinese people who got popped in Chicago. Look at all these Chinese people dying. I mean, that was a terrible example of the reason why it's important to have another women's march. If anything, we need to have men go on strike. Could you imagine a world without men? Men build everything, just about. Come up with the invention ideas, do the hard work where people die, whether it's firefighting or going out on the sea and different things like that. All these jobs where people die. Imagine a world without men. Women would be living in the Stone Age. Literally. But anyways, this is all my opinion. What do I know? I'm just a truth teller with the microphone. Let me know what you think about it all below. Be sure to subscribe to the Meat Magazine YouTube channels. Visit meatmagazine.blogspot.com for more. Follow me on Twitter at Meat Magazine. Meat Magazine 7 on Google+. Meat Magazine blog and Instagram. People, stop lying to yourselves. The truth of the matter is this mess is probably about money at the end of the day. I want to know who's organizing all of these different things. If they have like 60 different things going at the same time, that's huge. That sounds like the government's involved. It sounds like there's a much bigger agenda at hand. Think about it, people. What are they really up to? Women have all the rights in the world. Men are the ones being screwed over. And this is just going to do nothing but wake men up. Meat Magazine.